What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And today I wanted to talk about a potential trade that the Kansas City Chiefs could make ahead of NFL's trade deadline next week. So far, the Kansas City Chiefs have already added to their wide receiver room by trading for Tennessee Titans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. And then earlier this week, they decided to bolster their pass rush by adding Patriots outside linebacker Joshua Uche. So it's been made very clear so far that this front office and Brett Veach is not afraid to make those all-in moves in quest for a three-peat. Attrition has hit the Kansas City Chiefs particularly bad this year, and it has forced them to make a couple of moves to add to certain position groups. We've seen them add to wide receiver now. We see them add to pass rush, which they've struggled with injuries so far. And now cornerback seems to be making its way onto the list of needs for the Kansas City Chiefs after Jalen Watson went down with a broken ankle in which he sustained against the San Francisco 49ers a couple weeks ago. And in the Kansas City Chiefs' 27-20 win over the Las Vegas Raiders this past weekend, we got to see what the Kansas City Chiefs' corner depth looked like with Najee Johnson, Joshua Williams, and Christian Roland Wallace hitting the field. Unfortunately for the Kansas City Chiefs, none of them played particularly well, though, as Joshua Williams gave up multiple big plays in his first real action this season. Christian Roland Wallace was in the right spot a few times, but couldn't make a play on the ball. And then Najee Johnson was nearly put on the ground by quarterback Gardner Minshew, who was downfield blocking. And shortly after that, Najee Johnson came out of the game with a concussion, which who knows how long that will keep him out. And so at this point, it's also become a numbers game for the Kansas City Chiefs, as they need to add someone just to make sure they have enough players to actually field a competent secondary. Furthermore, Gardner Minshew truly abused the Kansas City Chiefs cornerbacks this past Sunday and had arguably one of the best games of his career as far as ball placement. He was not afraid to go after the Kansas City Chiefs cornerbacks, and he was successful most of the time with a very high completion percentage. So now we're in a spot where a lot of us would like to see the Kansas City Chiefs trade for a cornerback in case that Jalen Watson is not able to return this year, which is a possibility that has been thrown around. One name that has a lot of people around the NFL talking as someone the Kansas City Chiefs could potentially target to add to their secondary ahead of the NFL's trade deadline is New Orleans Saints cornerback Marshon Lattimore. Now, when a lot of people hear that name, they think, there's no way that the Kansas City Chiefs would be able to get Marshon Lattimore. That's an absolute pipe dream, right? First of all, Marshon Lattimore is a two-time All-Pro and has long been considered one of the best cornerbacks in the entire NFL. Furthermore, Marshon Lattimore signed a 5-year, $97 million deal just a couple years ago in 2021, which is still set to pay him a base salary of $16 million and $16.5 million in 2025 and 2026. So first of all, let's talk about the likelihood of the Kansas City Chiefs actually being able to trade for Marshon Lattimore. First of all, the New Orleans Saints are having an abysmal season. After a 26-8 loss against the Los Angeles Chargers that dropped them to 2-6, it's about time that the Saints maybe consider selling off some of their more expensive pieces on an expensive roster that clearly has no chance of competing this year. Marshon Lattimore is 28 years old, which is getting pretty old for a cornerback, so it would make a lot of sense for them to look for a new home for him. And with the Kansas City Chiefs being in the AFC and the Saints being in the NFC, it makes it even more likely that a deal can get done. Furthermore, this article by Keanu Singh of Fansided Network even talked about the possibility of the Kansas City Chiefs trading for Marshon Lattimore. The article reads, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, Kansas City is at least monitoring the cornerback market ahead of the deadline on November 5th. Kansas City has been named as a potential trade destination for New Orleans Saints cornerback Marshon Lattimore. The four-time Pro Bowl cornerback is yet to surrender a touchdown and has only allowed a 69.1 quarterback rating when targeted, the second lowest rating of his career. Fansided also projects that it would only take a conditional 2025 fourth-round pick for the Kansas City Chiefs to get this deal done with the New Orleans Saints. And I don't know about you guys, but I would definitely give up a conditional fourth-round pick to get a shutdown corner on your quest for a three-peat, something that no other team in the NFL has ever done. The potential of adding Joshua Uche on the defensive line and cornerback Marshon Lattimore in the secondary would make this defense extremely scary. Now let's talk about the financials a little bit, since Marshon Lattimore signed that big contract not that long ago that a lot of people are wondering, how would the Kansas City Chiefs even be able to afford this? Well, if you look a little bit further into Marshon Lattimore's contract, this year he only has a base salary of $1.2 million. And then when you add in the fact that we're already halfway through this year's NFL season, it means Marshon Lattimore has already been paid for half the year. So he realistically would only require about $600,000 for the Kansas City Chiefs to take him in. Not only that, but there's a potential out in 2025 after this year and Marshon Lattimore's contract where the Kansas City Chiefs would be able to get away without paying him very much. And if they offer a rich enough draft pick for the New Orleans Saints' liking, they may even be willing to pay most of his salary. So in conclusion, Marshon Lattimore joining this Kansas City Chiefs team isn't as much of a pipe dream as many may think. While there may be some cheaper and better value cornerbacks available in the trade market ahead of next week's NFL trade deadline for the Kansas City Chiefs to look into, if they wanted to go absolutely all in and make this defense as good as possible for a pretty good value, they could absolutely go ahead and get Marshon Lattimore from the New Orleans Saints. And I think that's a move that would just about make the rest of the NFL quit. And then if you're able to get Jalen Watson healthy before the postseason and get him back for the stretch run, oh man, can you imagine the 3 cornerback sets that Spags could run with Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, and Marshon Lattimore all on the field? So yeah, count me in as someone that absolutely wants to see this happen. But I want to hear from you guys if you think it would be a good idea for the Kansas City Chiefs to trade for Marshon Lattimore for the New Orleans Saints. How realistic do you think it is? I would love to hear from you guys down in the comments below. But with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com for more. And I'll see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs!